guys, it's Andrew from the blog Pine and Prospect Home, and today I want to share 5 tips with you guys for spring pruning in a cottage style garden. Last year, I don't know if you guys remember, if you've been following along with me for this long, but last year we created these beautiful DIY raised flower beds right off of our shed. We gave our backyard shed a huge makeover, added some cedar shake, we switched out the garage door for these beautiful old carriage doors, and we created this lovely sort of stone garden right next to the shed. Last year was our first year enjoying that space, and I just loved walking through there in the evenings and watering my flowers and enjoying the beautiful perennials that we had planted. I have an entire video all about our garden and the flowers we chose for our flower garden. I'll put a card here so you can check it out if you're interested in creating something similar. I live in Zone 6 here in Michigan, so this is right about the time where we start thinking about spring yard cleanup, pruning, gardening, kind of cleaning things up from the winter. And I realized that we could have snow here in our future still. It's very possible. In fact, last year, I think that it snowed the first week of May, and then I was doing my flower boxes just a few weeks later in 80-degree weather. Just so crazy to me, but that's what we're used to here. So when we have beautiful days like we have had these past couple of days, I try to take advantage of them and get an early start. Now with my big pregnant belly, as you'll see in these videos, it was much harder. I forgot how hard it is to work with this big old belly, bending over, trying to pull weeds out. It was not fun, let me tell you, but that's okay. After eating probably not the healthiest on vacation for 2 weeks, burning off those calories I'm sure was a good thing. So today I'm gonna share 5 simple tips for you guys, 5 things that we like to do each spring as we clean up our yard and prepare it for all of the beautiful perennials that are going to pop up. So the very first tip that I would tell you to do is to remove any of the dead plants or foliage from the year before. We like to prune in the spring. We sort of just leave it after the season is done with and let all that growth just sort of die during the winter. It's piled up with snow, so we leave it alone, and then in the spring we tackle it. You might decide to do something different in your area based on where you live. That's just what we do here in Michigan. So you can do some research as to what zone you live in and what pruning times would be best for your area. So I just come in with some clippers and I remove a lot of those dead branches, get all of those out of the way, and then I come through and kind of pull out all of the leaves that have blown into my beds throughout the fall season, fall and winter. I'll get those out and kind of just throw them on the stone sort of gravel walkways that we have. And then I'll come through with a leaf blower and I'll suck up all of those dead leaves and branches, and it's just one of my favorite things to do. It's hard work, but it's very satisfying. Once all of the leaves and the dead plants have been pulled out of your boxes and removed, it's a good idea to sort of loosen your mulch. You can use a garden tool for this. I just put on some gloves and kind of loosened it with my hands, sort of went through and pulled out some of the weeds that had already popped up already here in April, and sort of pulled those out. And one tip that I have for you, if you're kind of confused about what you're pulling out of the garden, sometimes I would go to pull something and think, wait, is that something I planted or is that a weed? Because a lot of it hasn't fully grown yet. It's just the beginnings of these little plants. So maybe check out a reference photo from your garden from the previous year. If you're like me, I know that I'm a blogger, and so I'm constantly taking photos of my home and garden, but it's a good idea to snap some pictures just to remember what you put in your beds, and that way you can compare leaves and sort of know which is which. A lot of times weeds just pull out very easily. They don't have deep roots. Sometimes you can smell them and you'll know right away. A lot of the perennials that I've planted, like lavenders and catmint, they'll have a very distinct smell, and I know just based on experience which is a weed and what is an actual flower that I planted. And that just comes with time. Believe me, I do not have a green thumb. I am not an expert when it comes to gardening, but the more that I do it, the more confidence you gain, and you start to know the difference between what you've planted and what is just a weed coming up into your garden. So the third step that I have for you today, once you've loosened up that mulch and pulled out all the weeds, I really like to prune back my perennials, and I prune them pretty low. You know, pruning is a tricky thing. You want to be careful. You don't want to damage your plants. I chose perennials because I'm frugal and I didn't want to have to replant year after year. Believe me, I have flower boxes in my front yard underneath my windows. We purchase annuals for those. And honestly, it's a big chunk of money each spring. We probably spend somewhere around $50 to $60 every spring and annuals for those boxes, and it's totally worth it. They are so beautiful and whimsical come July. And you can see I have a whole video about my window boxes if you want to get some ideas and some inspiration for a cottage style flower window box. I absolutely love them, and so I'm willing to spend that because it adds so much charm to our cottage style home. But I chose perennials for these gardens. And I want to take care of them, I want to maintain them, so pruning is very important. Sometimes it's hard to prune because you think you're going to damage the plant, but a lot of times it's healthier for the plant to cut back dead branches. So you'll want to do some research based on the plants you have, and it's so simple today with the internet. You can look up any plant online and see exactly how to prune it down. So with my lavender, I remember researching that, and I just prune it down to this little sort of hedge. Same with my catmint, I prune that down really low. So you'll figure that out. Hydrangeas are a little bit different. I will link in my blog post some excellent articles that I found online all about pruning, and all different flowers and plants listed in these articles so that you can go and check them out and know exactly how to prune your shrubs, trees, perennials, and that way you'll have a little bit more confidence as you go and you clean out your garden beds this spring. So my fourth tip for you, once you've pruned everything back, is to dig up and divide. This is the perfect time of year to do that. There are certain plants that really benefit from dividing. Hostas, for example, are a perfect example of this. It really benefits the plant to divide up those hostas. We have those planted all over our property, and it's really good to just take a shovel right down to the middle, divide them up, and you can replant them or give them away. Our catmint exploded in our gardens last year, and almost to the point where it was choking out plants around it. So now, when it's nice and small and just this little mound, is the perfect time to divide it up. I'll probably give some to my mom right now. I'm gonna ask some of my sisters if they want some, or I'll find another place in my yard for it. It's so beautiful, you can't kill it. It's one of my favorite perennials. Creates this beautiful periwinkle flower. But now is definitely the time to divide and move things around when they're just little itty bitty things. When you see, I'll show you some footage here of what my catmint looked like last summer. When you see how big and huge that thing grows, I mean, you're not going to want to mess with that in the middle of summertime when it's warm, when that plant is huge. You want to start moving and dividing things right now in early spring. And then my fifth tip, which I actually wasn't able to get to for this video, but we will here soon, is just to apply some spring fertilizer, and then we love to put down fresh mulch. Every spring we go and we get probably 5 or 6 bags of black mulch. I love black mulch. We used to do like a brown mulch, but black to me just looks like that rich, beautiful, moist dirt, and I just love the color. I love the way my green plants just pop off of the black, and so that's my preferred color. As for fertilizers, I know I'll probably get asked what fertilizer I use. To be honest, it's different every year. I would like to say that every year we choose an organic fertilizer, but it just all depends. we live in the middle of nowhere in a tiny little town, so if we hadn't had the chance to get to the city and go to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot to look at their gardening section, we might just settle on whatever we can find here locally, which is fine. I think I would probably be a little bit more picky if we were fertilizing fruits and vegetables, things that we were eating, for example. But with flowers, I'm not sure yet what we'll go with this year. I'll keep you guys posted once we have everything freshly mulched and fertilized. Right now, for this video, we've only finished tackling that flower bed area right off of our shed, and I can't wait to tackle the rest of the yard. We have some things that we've planted on the opposite side of the shed that pop up every year, so we like to add some fresh mulch there, kind of straighten out our stone border that gets messed up with the winter snow. And then also our patio area, we've got some plants that we have added around the tree that kind of acts as this beautiful canopy over our patio space. And then we have some plants also in little pockets here and there around the yard that will add some fresh mulch to clean out the leaves, loosen up some of the weeds, and I'm just excited to get our yard ready for spring. But I thought that these tips would help you guys. Again, I will say that I am not a gardener. I don't have a green thumb. I don't have a lot of experience in this area. I'm very thankful because my mother-in-law actually has much more experience here. So if I ever have questions or I'm concerned about something, I can always give her a call, and she always has an answer for me, which is really nice. And I would encourage you guys to find that friend who loves being outdoors, who loves gardening. You would be amazed at how much help they are willing to offer. Sometimes people love to share their experience and offer a helping hand. And it's just a great way to connect with people and to learn more from other people who have much more experience. So reach out to those around you who you know have those green thumbs, and they can really help you in your spring garden cleanup. So I hope these tips helped you guys today. I'm so excited to share our beautiful backyard space once everything starts blooming. For us, that happens more so in May, I think, is when we have sort of the lilacs blooming, our redbud tree blooms, and that's just when our yard comes to life. We don't quite have full gardens yet, but the greens are all starting to pop through the dirt, and it's honestly a magical time of year. Probably, I call myself a summertime girl, and I totally am, but that feeling in the spring when you can sleep with the windows open and hear those birds chirping in the morning, and you see those beautiful greens start to shoot through the ground, it's just, there's nothing like God's beautiful creation in the springtime. And so I'm excited to share it all with you. Hopefully I'll have the energy to finish it all here, but I just wanted to share those tips with you, and I hope they were a help to you today. If you are new to my channel, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.